Today we're doing part two of what if civilization started in Asia and took off instead of Europe. So we left the first video on a massive cliffhanger. Go. The Chinese civilization has now risen. But meanwhile, at the same time, Continental starts to expand further into Africa. They mostly take coastal areas as they realize that down here is a big massive desert that nobody wants. They also start to expand down here, so Continental I don't know why I named it last video. But it'll be called Continental. And it will be basically this version of Egypt. The civilization of Popin changes its name as they change the name based on the new dynasty. This dynasty is found more liberal, but still extremely conservative for this day and age as well. Pentatonian also start to expand towards the Central Asian steppe as well. Well, realizing that this area is mostly useless area, it'll be a very low densely populated area for some time. Bisa gets some competition down here, and a new civilization forms down here. The Khotan becomes a new civilization. We'll be using orange for its capital city. Khotan is its capital city, and it is the least populated civilization. There are still more tensions happening in India. The Kshatriya and the Tisa declare war on each other. The Tisa completely destroy the Kshatriya as they have more people, and the entire area is united under one country. Tisa also starts to expand towards Bangladesh as well, creating a coastline as well. They start to realize the subcontinent of India is big, and a new civilization, the subcontinent, is created. This country starts to expand pretty quickly as well. However, this country is Bolsheva. However, this country is very unique. This country founds Bolshevian, the first major religion. Up until now, religions have mostly been tribal religions. For example, Travesta has its own tribal religion. There has never been a religion that has been widespread. But over the next coming years, Bolsarian starts to expand and becomes the world's oldest religion. Meanwhile, the Kingdom of Swift was created as well as the second kingdom to adopt Bolsarian as a religion. It is the least populated country of the Indian subcontinent as well, but Tisa is now renamed the Tisan Empire. But we'll still be just referring to the country as Tisa. But Tisa becomes the first empire of India as well. The first Chinese civilization. Yes, the big reveal of the last episode. Xin, the first Chinese civilization, starts to expand. This is good. This is the first founding civilization, and it basically becomes the most advanced civilization in the world. It is the most technologically advanced civilization in the world as well. Meanwhile, a rival is set up in Korea. This is another area, mostly in the northern portion of Korea. Zin's rival appears. Kista. This country is basically another kingdom that exists. And we might see a similar war to the Punic Wars evolve between Katsa and Zin as well. Meanwhile, Quintana starts to expand into what is now modern-day Russia. The area is too cold to expand any further. But they do make good progress, and these areas are kind of like mostly just farmers and people who are just like peasants. They're the ones who are basically just colonizing this area. And Gitana might become a pretty important civilization in the future. Trivesta starts to expand north. They see the potential of colonizing modern-day Azerbaijan and northern Iran, so they start to colonize it as well. They don't want to get the people angry, as they don't want to overexpand. So the Trivesta Empire now expands. Meanwhile, a lot of people are sick of the Trivesta state, moved to Crimea. Yeah. This becomes a new civilization, revolving around Crimea. Which is funny because they have not been found, they have not colonized it. Diska is the next new civilization. Meanwhile, more tensions appear in the Indian subcontinent. Dosa Antigua wanted to get revenge on Tisa for taking out this civilization over here. I already forgot its name, so yeah. Also, new rebels start to pop up with a new civilization. This province breaks away. This is the second least populated province. They break away to gain their independence. Also, Tika starts to invade the southern portion of Tisa as well, and Dosa, for losing a lot of its land to Tisa, starts to regain the more formerly ethnically Dolson areas. The war ends and Tisa loses this state here. We're not gonna give it a name, as I might forget it. But this new independent state is a new kingdom in India, as India starts to become like the Balkan Peninsula of Asia. So, which is funny because both India and the Balkan area are peninsulas. Meanwhile, Swift continues to expand into more coastal regions, connecting with Tisa. Swift also manages to create boats to colonize a new area, the Andaman Islands. This is basically a new settlement. Also, they start to go towards the south. Meanwhile, Barissa starts to expand its territory a lot as well. The problem is there isn't much land protecting the capital, and people want to expand from the capital. So suburban areas are created to expand from the capital. Bosa eventually meets up with Tika and Tessa and creates a massive state as well. It isn't the most populated state, and Continental also starts to take parts of India. Only the very southern tip of India hasn't been discovered. Alex also starts to find more land they can conquer. But then they realized that they basically just created yet another breakaway state. This is a new state between Alex is this one. Prex, here, and Naira. I don't know why it says Nile. It's Naira. Well, this country, because of a new dynasty names, it changes its name to Prex. This new Indian civilization will be called Ajak. Meanwhile, we have Alex as well. Here, Sanin and Ajax. Here. Zin continues its massive expansion. Zin continues to expand toward the coast. Here. Just remember, this was a group of people who were disgruntled with the government, and they had to trek across the Himalayas to reach the area. Zin becomes a proper civilization. The population starts to explode massively. The population annual growth is as much as modern day Nigeria and grows 5 to 6% every year. Actually, I think that's even more than Nigeria. Currently, the top 3 most populated countries is Travesta, Boressa, and Continental. Though, with Naira and Astan at 4th and 5th, alongside Pentanonan at 6th place, and Kanta at 6th place. The first Timoria starts to settle most what is southern Anatolia. Yeah. Timoria stops and mostly colonizes coastal regions. A part of the Timorians migrate and set up a new colony up here. This colony is unnamed as no one has met it yet. They create a capital city as well. Well, creating a new source of wealth here. The world trade system is like this. There was a trade into Europe. So basically, the trade starts in the Middle East, goes into Africa, rings up with here, up here, and ends here. There's another trade network that goes here into here. And there's one that goes into European tribes. There's one that goes into Iran. Of course, there's the Persian Gulf trade here. But Traversa also has a small trade route as well. There used to be some city-states here, but they collapsed. There's also a massive trade route into India. India is now the wealthiest region in the world, as most of the world's wealth is concentrated in India. Here. This civilization over here collapses the Kafana as well as a bad story, as basically political unrest, and the president was assassinated. Another civilization was created on here. The new leader, however, creates a new civilization. He has named the country after his dynasty, which is the Potano dynasty, which is just called the Potoro state. However, this state starts to expand. This becomes the first expansionist state in Southeast Asia. It's set to take a lot of modern-day Thailand and Burma, and the Potano dynasty is now a actual threat. Most of this area is unpopulated, as well as most people do not live in these jungles, which may be a big problem in the future, as most of the settlements is mostly on the coastal areas. For example, Zin, the expansion was over time as well. These are the Blue Coastal Tribes. Yeah, that's what they'll be called, the Blue Coastal Tribes as well. The Blue Coastal Tribes see an opportunity and see there's a massive landmass. They start to colonize a lot of the European coastal area, yeah, here, and basically these are mostly just trade towns, merchant towns. It is basically just a Venice type country as well. Well, they do not really expand that much, only to basically secure trade routes against pirates and other bad people, which helps trade in Europe significantly. Meanwhile, Xin continues to expand, the first Chinese civilization, but hit a roadblock when they see another ethnic country. This is Taniava. Taniava is a new small state in China. No. Yeah. Taniava is a new state in Asia. And this country is in the way of Xin's expansion. Which is basically the name of the dynasty. Xin, however, continues to expand into the southern portion of China. Now, this proves pretty big, but they realize that they can't really colonize that far down, so they compromise and settle for a small settlement. However, a few people from Xin go across the coast. However, they do not hit Korea. They hit a new unfamiliar continent, Japan. The Sunai settle in the southern tip of Japan. This is the newest civilization. The capital city is basically a coastal town with around 5,000 people as well. Basically, the Sunai are named after the general who, basically after the boat leader who colonized the area. They claimed all of this land here, at least the lands they started, and this might become a thorn in the side of Xin and Kotsa. Kotsa starts to expand greatly into the Korean peninsula. They start to expand into further of North Korea and further into what is now mainland Chinese and Russian and Amur lands. Kotsa also expands into the southern portion of Korea. Yeah, but the big conflict is with Tavi. This is a country that also wants to expand as well. Tavi is basically kind of like a strange country that exists as well. Almost every country is a monarchy, so they all have kings as well. Sunni is like the first military dictatorship as well, and of course Blue, coastal, empire is mostly just a merchant empire. Diska continues to expand into the Crimea area. Yeah. They start to colonize and conquer the Crimea area. There aren't very many people already living in the area as well, so they basically colonize and they connect this area here. They also start to expand into the southern portion of this Russian area, and they start to basically expand here. The Diska basically creates their own empire. Yeah. Where some of the people in the country are not too happy about Diska having an empire. Yeah. This dissatisfaction causes a civil war. It causes two factions and two countries to break apart. First are the royal original Diskans. These types of people do not want to be a part of the expansionists. Many outskirts cities like Tanatin and Tincian rebel. Oh no, we're not giving any say names. Those could be big cities. Diska only has around 4 million people as well. These rebellions continue. You they cut off the eastern and western portion of the country. Diska, however, collapses. The Diska, however, for asks for help, but most countries. But there is one major solution: split into two countries. The north basically is the first north and south countries. The lesser populated South Dissa separates from the northern portion of the country. This country, once it was colonized, has always been, for the past couple of years, has faced massive inequality from the rest of the country. This is the first actual time a country splits upon itself. Creating for the first time two new countries. Feta, which is basically a separate area. Also, its capital is the federal town that was established here, and Entanti, which is basically the surviving country here. So basically both countries. Okay, what was the country called formerly? Disa, but now without the support of Feta, is now just called Danti. As is mostly just Danti ethnicity. That's the dominant ethnicity here. Meanwhile, the Feta, which was the southern ethnicity, were mostly the colonizers down here, and there are still a small minority of Feti in this area as well, and the Feti and the Danti now have their own two separate countries. The Trivesta do lose control of some of these lands up here, as basically the settlements kind of fail, which is pretty weird considering the fact that, they just lose control of the land as the administrative states fail to basically rule the land effectively. Same thing with this little settlement here, because it's so far away from everybody else, the Potomo basically take it over. And now it is under the rule of the Potomo dynasty. The Swifts see this and they declare war on the Potomo. This war is very costly for Swift to regain some very unpopulated island. Just remember, this island only has around 4,000 total people. They take back the island, and Potomo, however, due to it being closer, does take back the island back. It swaps hands, and the island population is reduced to just 500 of people from Bisa, Potomo, and Swift. Basically, the rest of the island people declare their independence. Thence from all three states, saying that we do not want to be a part of this country anymore. Considering there's only one total settlement on the island, the capital is made in the largest town, and this is just called the Andaman Island, and the islands, Andaman Island country, as well. Well, this country for a while will be mostly ignored in trade, as well, and it can be isolated due to its rebellious nature. However, the tensions are happening towards in the Middle East. The first three civilizations have been fuming at each other. It is kind of becoming like a bottleneck area as Timur. The straw that breaks the camel back is the expansion of Timur, which is very successful, unlike the expansion of Trivesta. Timuria, however, unlike Trivesta, has some allies. And basically creates the first massive war. Moria. Trifesta will be weighing out the Trifesta will be brewed as Aston and Tomoya invade Trifesta. Pentanonin then also joins the side of Trifesta as well. Here, Pentanonin invades Trifesta, taking some of these very vital coastal towns. These battles are very hard fought, but Trifesta loses two of the second and third most populated cities besides the capital in the area. Pentanonin are on their side. Oops, sorry. Aston basically starts a massive invasion towards both countries. Aston has been hoping to finally expand. They could expand further into India, but they're hoping they can finally settle the record straight with Trifesta. They won the last war, so they can hopefully win again. The advance is pretty slow, but is eventually halted into a stalemate. Kanta and also starts to evade Trifesta as well. However, Kanta is put onto the defensive relatively quickly. As Kanta has way less soldiers, is a very less militaristic state. However, Tamara might be a very, very dangerous foe. Tamara uses the rebels to help them invade parts of Israel and massive areas here. These areas are the lesser populated areas of Trifesta, so it isn't a very big deal. But they'll worry about losing all the most populated areas. For example, this entire area has a very high population density, compared to the eastern area. Yeah, the area most of Trifestans live in this little area here. They live in this little circle here. There is some population density here and here, but it is very undensely populated here, and that has always been a weak spot for Trifesta's empire. We might actually see the fall of Trifesta, and also some of the ethnicities start to break away from Trifesta. This causes the massive collapse of Trifesta and the dynasty. The deal has been done. Pentanonin then also signed the armistice with Aston as well. Well, Aston becomes the next major empire. They gain a lot of Trifestan former Popey land as well, not gain the capital as well, but they also gain some land for the Pentaconin as well. Trifesta dynasty is also now defeated as well. It is separated into two states. We have the Trifestan state and we have the Republic of Popey, the original country that existed as well. The dynasty has now been seen as a shadow of its former self. Well, as Popey becomes an independent country as well, and is basically just a puppet of Aston anyways. Its capital is Pohio as well. Then we also have the other ethnicities gaining independence. Timuel gains a lot of these lands down here, as well as Kanta gains some of the lands at the fallout of the war. Again, there's no such thing as a peace treaty in this world, so basically it's just winners take all. However, two new civilizations based off ethnic lines are formed. Here. The Sumer, which is mostly Sumerians, and the Trinka and the Tringet. Both of these countries are mostly formed by ethnic lines as well, and they're not puppet states of any countries. They'll find the two ethnicities that have been oppressed by the Travestians for a long time as well. The Travestians have now been formed into a rump state as well, as the Middle Eastern economy also collapses, putting the Middle East into a dark age. Meanwhile, in India, the tensions remain high between several kingdoms, including Borissa and Soteric and Continental. Continental claims all of the land south of here. Meanwhile, Both's father wants all of here. Swift wants to expand here. Neither country can agree, and this starts a massive war between all three countries. Borissa got to get invaded by the Continental Empire and starts to lose. However, Swift only sides of Borissa and starts to send troops to fight the Continental. Both countries can now at least evenly match the military. Yeah. The Continental and Borissa have been fighting back and forth for a while. Yeah. The battling ceases, and Borissa finally gets the upper hand. The Continental loses the war and will have to accept proper claims as well, which means Borissa will be able to gain all of this land here. Swift will gain all of this land down here. They have not discovered Sri Lanka yet, and the Continental will gain this amount of land as well. We'll see if this land stays a part of these countries as well. But at the current moment, this area is very not densely populated, as it's just starting to be settled. Here. Kind of like this little area here, there was no real ethnic or regional areas here. These areas finally had like their own ethnicity and regional areas. So basically, like the world ethnicities, you have the Dante here, you have the Feta here, you have the Tamurians here, you have the Continental here, the Traversa here, the Sumer and Tringet here, the Popi in these little areas here, as an ethnic area. We also have the Pentanakans here, and the Gatananans here, and we have the Astan peoples here, and the Protovians here. Basically, that's all the ethnicities of the Middle East at the current moment. Of course, things will obviously change as new countries are formed. However, Protovia has been a very silent civilization, but they have elected a new king who wants to expand even more. They create more and more settlements alongside the coast. Here. But this king wants to expand further inland, despite it being very pointless, so he can look like a bigger country on the map. So they start to basically colonize some of the inner portion of the Arabian Peninsula, but it has been halted after it is very hard to traverse this area. Here. Meanwhile, in Asia, Zin has massive crisis. Another rival civilization appears to battle Zin for domination of East Asia. This country is basically mostly Tavians and Zinian and the Trandinese, which is the Zinians area, and it's the Tarsa. The Tarsa are a new country that just popped up. And this causes a war between all three nations. So what do you think of this war so far? We have not reached we're only at around 500 BC. We're only at 500 BC. Where we see our Persian Empire, for example, Aston annexing all of these areas. Or we see a equivalent in India as well, as the Age of Empires begins. Goodbye.